Coming up on Tech News Today, paying for things with your face. History repeats itself as Time Warner pursues Yahoo to, get into the tech industry. Denise Howell joins us to bat around a few legal aspects of the Apple FBI case and so much more. Tech News Today is next.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com. Hi, everybody. It's time for our annual audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It helps us understand our audience better, know what you like and don't like, how you listen to the show. It also helps us tell advertisers what kind of people listen. But I promise you, your feedback is always kept personally anonymous. All you have to do is visit twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. It'll just take a few minutes, and it'll help us make Twit even better. We really appreciate your support and any help you can give us. twit.tv/survey.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1455, recorded Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Igloo software. Igloo is an intranet you'll actually like. It connects people with the information they need to do their best work. Try it for free at igloosoftware.com/twit or sign up for a live demo to see it in action.
And by Score Big. Pay less for quality seats to your favorite sporting and music events. Go to scorebig.com, click on the microphone, and enter promo code TNT to save $20 off your first ticket purchase.
And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Right now, get free expedited FedEx shipping when you go to ring.com/TNT.
Hello and welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we talk about all the tech news with people who are passionate about technology. I am Megan Morrone.
And I am Jason Howell. How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah?
I'm ready.
You know what I'm excited about today?
What?
We've got Becky Worley back. That's what. How's it going, Becky?
I am indeed here. And I can promise you two something, except for this one instance. And despite the fact that we may talk about Apple's security issues with the FBI, I will not be saying the word backdoor.
Oh.
Okay,
well,
you just said
did.
it.
Yeah.
That's it, except for this one instance.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay,
That's
got
over
it.
for
Right.
me.
That's
Others may utter the words, but I shall not.
It might come up once or twice.
Yeah.
It's kind of part of the story at this point.
What about,
I giggled the first couple of times and then I let it go.
What about the phrase secure enclave? Will you be mentioning that?
Ooh. Certainly not in conjunction with that other phrase.
Right.
And I have to give credit to Seth Meyers. He has a brilliant sort of rant about the use of all these phrases with complete seriousness by so many very serious newsmakers.
Excellent. Had to check for that. I have a feeling you might have something to say about this, though. We've wondered what suitors might be lining up for in a possible purchase of Yahoo. According to sources, Time Inc. is considering a bid for the company. Yes, the same company that bought MySpace very recently. Once a very strong internet property, now let's say just kind of defunct. But even further back than that, attempted to ride the tech wave by buying AOL back in what ended up being mere months before the tech bubble popped and obliterated AOL in the early 2000s. Apparently, Time Inc. would be interested in Yahoo's core business. Time wants access, of course, to the 1 billion worldwide users to transform from print to online. This all sounds very familiar, Becky. Why does this sound so familiar to me?
Deja vu all over again. But don't you think sometimes we've been covering tech news for so long that it almost seems like ideas that were bad 10, 12 years ago are actually finally coming to a place where they might be good ideas now? I feel like this has always been Microsoft's problem. Tablets too early, touch too early, all those things.
Grocery delivery. There's another, Webvan failed, but it was a great idea, and now it seems to be working for companies.
Before their time. Here's the thing. I do find some plausibility. When Joe Rip, the CEO of Time, was talking on Bloomberg today, he really made a good case for the core media business that Yahoo has. And Yahoo has worked so hard to develop this. I'm biased because I worked for them. I've had 3 iterations of Yahoo media involvement on different properties that they've been working on. And they really have made this a focus and developed it over time. The people that are working in the video, print, many of the verticals that they shuttered just last week, those are really high quality journalists who have a lot of skills, and they have the infrastructure to pull this off, to broaden the scope of what a new media landscape might look like for Time. So in this discussion on Bloomberg, Joe Rip said that Time made 23,000 videos last year. Well, imagine if they had the Yahoo studios that exist in LA. I'm not sure if they've totally shuttered those by closing the Burbank office, but the bigger ones are in New York and then here in Sunnyvale. And if they could leverage those production units to really churn out video for all of the Time properties, then you have the audience that you get from the front page of Yahoo, which I like to call the lighthouse effect. If you make it onto the front page of Yahoo, you just get absolutely hammered with traffic. That is still a very viable form of getting eyeballs. You combine that with the ad sales that Time really has, and I think that's an criticized aspect of Yahoo business. It's hard to believe that there's any aspect of their business that's been under criticized. But I think their ad sales really didn't keep pace with their digital media. And so if you could leverage the power of Time's ad sales and put that against some of the production capabilities and media capabilities plus the eyeballs of Yahoo, I think you got something.
So like a perfect marriage between, the old media and new media? I mean, is that what
Again,
it is?
sounds very familiar to me.
No. Even that's quite Pollyanna in the there's no perfect marriage.
Right,
True.
right.
She's maybe on her 3rd or 4th husband by now.
Yeah, maybe they've learned a thing or two in the process.
Yeah. I think that it makes a little bit more sense than any of the big telecoms to me in terms of the part of the business that I know best. Also, the other thing that Joe Rip said is that by adding products and services that Yahoo already has to some of the Time properties, that might work in diversifying their business model, not just to an advertising revenue stream.
Yeah, sure. They like you were alluding to, they're competing with much larger companies, AT&T Incorporated, Verizon Communications Incorporated. Time, has a lot less money as far as that's concerned compared to those suitors, let's say. But apparently, they're looking at pursuing a reverse Morris trust, which would make this a tax-free transaction, would kind of bring it in line. I think I entered into this story thinking, oh, this is kind of ridiculous, but Becky, you've turned me around. It actually makes a lot more sense in comparison with the other kind of players in the field that we're hearing. That actually makes sense to me.
Well, Rip said the Time has $1 billion in subscriptions, and then so that kind of it makes the one leg on the Yahoo table that's really creaky a little bit short up. Marissa Mayer would not go with the sale. She would exit the company if they did this reverse Morris trust, which is bizarre sounding. But somebody's going to buy Yahoo. I would hope that it's a media company, and maybe this is just my own hope for all those people.
Sure.
Take it with a grain of salt.
No, understood.
All right, well, we had another unintentional sneak peek into Microsoft's HoloLens today. Paul Thurrott reports that a company called ActionGram will release an app that will let you send augmented reality videos to your friends with HoloLens. And a leaked video gave us a look at the HoloLens start menu. Thurrott also spotted a new clicker peripheral that makes it easier to interact with holograms. If you're watching the video, you can see that you have to click your finger, which apparently some people have had problems with. Like, it's fine the first few times, but then it starts to hurt. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the HoloLens. It's also funny that the start menu is one of the first things that we see, because like the start menu.
We learned from you. We're keeping the start menu.
Right. The start menu is such a, it's fraught with all of this history. So I don't know, Becky, what do you think about HoloLens? Are you excited about this augmented reality device?
I'm always so deeply rooted in the consumer space of the here and now that it's hard for me to really imagine VR and HoloLens as they would exist in true consumer space down the line. So I'm going to reserve judgment. But for Microsoft's sake, I hope it goes well. And I love I think heads-up displays in general are really cool, and if they can do something with it, then please, Lord, just for nothing else, for the Seattle economy.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a long ways away. I mean, the developer kits are going to be coming out the first quarter of this year, but I think it looks cool.
Yeah, I personally want to experience HoloLens in the on-stage demonstration way where you're battling dragons and ducking fireballs and everything, but I guess my mind just goes directly to gaming when I see virtual and augmented reality aspects. But yeah, it looks like the right time for Microsoft to strike with a device like this. This is certainly the year for this type of stuff. We'll see.
I mean, I suspected last year when they first announced it last January that it wouldn't come out until my kids could afford to buy one themselves, which is a long time from now. But I think that was very conservative. I think it will come out before, 5-10 years, I don't know.
What do we think about, because when I'm watching the controls of like selecting on the start menu, it's pretty obvious that your mouse, let's say, is the position of your head. Well, no, so you can click with your hands, but in order to select, you're kind of moving it around. I don't know. It just kind of seems like it would be awkward over time to do that. And maybe, I don't know, eye tracking, or I'm not sure. I don't know what makes that any better. But
we're going to talk about the HTC Vive later in the show when we talk about Mobile World Congress. But did you guys find it interesting to compare the visual of that video with the idea of the Vive, which has a camera on it that's going to superimpose reality in the background, so that those two things are becoming more alike than they originally seemed, HoloLens and virtual reality?
That's true. I wonder what the better implementation of that will be. Because I've played with the Gear, let's say the Samsung Gear VR a little bit, and it does a little bit of that pass through using the camera. And it's not as perfect as you would expect it to be, and we kind of talked about this on the show yesterday, but it's hard, like, yes, you see through, but there's like an enlarged view that isn't quite as wide as we're used to seeing with our actual eye. And so, you end up cutting out unintentionally other things that your eye would expect to be there, and knowing distance of where your hands exist in that world. And so it's nice to have, but it'll be interesting to see which of these devices does that the right way, let's say, in air quotes. So I know we've all been in this situation. You ever find yourself at the airport desperate for Wi-Fi? You see an access point. It looks legit. How do you really know it's okay to connect to? And this is one thing that I've always wondered, like, you just never know. Avast software demonstrated how frequently a hotspot with an official sounding SSID name will get connected to by passersby. Essentially, what they found is names like, Starbucks, let's say, or MWC free Wi-Fi, because this was shown off at Mobile World Congress, were connected to by users more than 2,000 times in 4 hours. Stats around what sites were visited, what apps, what devices were used, all were categorized for statistical purposes. They didn't hold on to the data, they say, but 63.5% of those people connecting had identifiable details about the device that was being used and about the user that was doing so. I don't know. This answers kind of a fear that I've had for a long time, as far as like, how do you really truly know that free access point, wherever you happen to be, is legit? Anyone can name it anything.
You don't. I mean, you shouldn't use it.
So basically, yeah, right? Like, unless you're using some sort of hardware VPN of some sort.
Right. Yeah, like our mobile VPN, yeah.
Or mobile, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't use it, but sometimes we do.
Well, there are desperate cases, but then I'm also wondering with this, I think it was Darren Kitchen who told me this, that what you could do in this instance is, with iPhones and so many other devices, it has this feature, known networks will be joined automatically. So if the SSID is spoofed to be AT&T Wi-Fi or Starbucks free Wi-Fi, something that is the exact same name of something that is a legitimate Wi-Fi hotspot that you've joined in the past, it might just automatically be joining also, not not just a passive join, not an active choice on the part of the user.
Right, because it saves it into your list of previously connected to, and it assumes that if you've connected to it, then you trust it and you can connect to it going forward. And I've noticed that many times, you know, somewhere along the line connecting to, I think it was like a Comcast Wi-Fi thing. And I mean, those points are everywhere. And I always kind of wondered, well, what, you know, there's nothing stopping someone from putting up a Wi-Fi access point with the same exact name. Comcast seems legit. And actually Comcast has deals where if you're on the service and you have a certain deal, you can connect to all those access points and kind of expand your coverage that way. But you know, who's to say it isn't a bad idea because the wrong person's putting that up. And only because this ties in, a couple of weeks ago I was on the new screensavers, and we had the folks behind the Anonibox Pro on, and that's a $120 hardware unit, and basically it's Tor, but it's also a hardware VPN. So really, you can just kind of take this and anywhere you happen to be, plug it in. You know, if you don't have a software solution, and this is kind of like one of those perfect devices to have when you're at the airport, let's say, or when you're at the coffee shop using their Wi-Fi. So probably best to just you know, use your selfie VPN in that situation.
All right. Well, a short 4 years ago, social mobile game company Zynga bought its San Francisco headquarters building for $228 million. Now it is up for sale. Becky, we should buy it. Does it look familiar to you?
You can never go home again.
This was the Tech TV building, 650 Townsend, where many of us here, Leo, Becky, worked together. Yeah, I think we should buy it. What do you think?
It's probably not that expensive.
If you go into this building, it is bizarre. It looks like a cruise ship has docked. 2 cruise ships have come together and docked because they have all these like Lido decks. And so you have a huge open space in the middle. And I don't know if you guys have been back there since Zynga took it over. It's bizarre. What used to be a lobby for us now has permanent taco trucks and bars. They, you know, beer flowing all the time, kind of has that cool, attempting to be hipster, graffiti feeling look. If you go down into the basement, there's an entire room with sketch tables. And when I was there, every sketch table was filled and there was a model standing there so that people could just be on their off time sketching something.
That is so weird. Of all the extravagant like tech bubble examples, that's probably at the top of the list. That's so strange.
Really weird with like specific drafting tables just for like being in an anatomy drawing class. It was weird. But they have already leased out large portions of the building. Common Sense Media, strangely enough, has a large chunk of the of where our offices used to be. There's another company. They do digital records for hospitals and such. They have a huge chunk of it. I think the question is this Zynga's biggest asset? The smartest thing Mark Pincus may have ever done is buying this building. He bought it, I don't know, 280-something million. Is that what the article said?
228 million.
It was 300 some odd dollars per square foot. So yeah,
it's
pretty darn
expensive. I looked on Zillow to see if they had a Zestimate for the building.
Scientific research here.
Yeah, let's see if they had a Zestimate, and they didn't. But at 117 Townsend Street, just a couple blocks down, I found a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,100 square foot apartment that's listed for $1.5 million. And so that was, about 1,000 square feet. I mean, maybe it's not comparable, but I'm just saying, Mark Pincus, this is maybe the smartest thing you ever did.
Yeah, I mean, the San Francisco real estate market is still going strong. That's what's so fascinating. I mean, we can talk about Zynga. They made Farmville. They're not going anywhere. They're not as successful. I mean, they don't have as many employees as they did, which is maybe better.
Their market cap was 10 times what it is now back in 2012 when they made this purchase. So times have definitely shifted for Zynga as far as that's concerned. But basically what they're planning to do here, they're selling the building, and they're going to be they're going to be renting it back from whoever happens to take it over, and that turns kind of their capital expenses into operating expenses. So that gives them this large pool of money with which to operate over.
To buy more farms.
Maybe.
One thing that's maybe telling in this is they have a lot of cash. So why would they be doing this is because they're being advised that this is their chance to get what's left of the top of the San Francisco real estate market. That's my personal opinion.
That, and I also wonder if there is any, if this makes them a better target for acquisition. They don't have such a large overhead, based in real estate, when somebody who would want to acquire Zynga probably wants them for their technology or their gaming and, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it could be a number of things, but, previous tenants, aside from Tech TV, of course, and ZDNet, Sega of America and Macromedia. So, we've seen a lot of...
Macromedia?
Yes.
Man, that's old school.
I know, there you go. It's the old school building. The old school tech building.
Times change and they stay the same, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're still here.
Yep.
Companies keep getting younger, but we still stay the same age, apparently.
This is a little different. Security is so inconvenient. That's why MasterCard is introducing selfie pay. I'm not joking. Selfie pay in the UK. It's not April Fool's. The MasterCard identity check actually maps the user's face for verification. It's the same system that they use to match fingerprints for payment verification. So fingerprint, selfie. You install the app, you snap a selfie that's analyzed and produces a digital map of the face, and then you use your face to pay. The trick here being that you can't use a photo because it requires you to blink to prove that you're real. What I wonder is then, can you use a video? I mean, that's pretty easy too, right?
Becky's taking a selfie.
Becky, are you
right
selfie
now.
paying right now?
I am, guys. I needed new mascara. So I just wanted to let you know. Sorry.
Your selfie actually isn't worth money. It's just like your fingerprint.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
It's just like the secure enclave, if you will.
You said you were going to say secure enclave.
No, you
No,
said
no.
you were going to.
Well, I said it.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about selfie pay. I think I'm broken at this point.
It's UI that people understand
I suppose
being
so.
applied to a concept that they don't. I mean, if you had to explain a security feature to someone who's buying something, would you rather explain take a selfie of yourself or tokenization?
Yeah, fair enough.
Right.
Fair
That's a
enough.
good
As
point.
long as all I can really compare it to is way back when, I think it was ice cream sandwich for Android, we got Face Unlock. And it was it was ridiculed to no end, and probably rightfully so, because it was very easy to spoof it. It was very easy to hold up a picture and get inside a phone. Of course, Google did, kind of say this is kind of a thing we're testing around, playing around with, testing to see. And there's a little bit of that implementation in modern day Android. It's a little bit different, but I don't know. I just wonder how secure it is, and tying it to a payment method just seems like a bad idea to me. But
Well, I think face recognition is getting a lot better.
Yeah.
Next, they're going to use electrocardiograms. Apparently, those are unique. I had no idea. I thought your heart beat, and
yeah, interesting.
I guess all our hearts beat to our own drummers.
Yeah. There we go.
I actually feel bad for the credit card companies in this instance, because if you think about the chip rollout, 17% of people of merchants who have the chip readers are using them.
Oh,
So
it's bad. I
it's
see it every day.
horrendous.
They have them there. I'm like, do I use chip? And then it's confusion on the consumer side, because it's like, okay, well, what do you want me to use? Oh, we have chip. Okay. And then of course it has that loud beep at you, which feels like shame every time you buy something using chip. And then you go to another place that has the chip, but no, don't use that. No, it's just the swipe. It's confusing out there. So I guess maybe
If the adoption rate for that is so difficult
Yeah.
To make ubiquitous and so fractured, then maybe we do need to start with something. I'm not advocating for selfie pay per se, but
you're saying the solution is selfie pay, aren't you?
there we have it. I feel like Bill Gates. That's how Bill Gates got misquoted. I understand.
I know, right? That is true. That is true. We might have to talk a little bit about Bill Gates up next. We're going to be talking with Denise Howell. You know her from this network, about the legal ramifications of the Apple FBI story. But before we do that, let's take a minute to thank the sponsor of this episode. That's Igloo. Anyone that's worked in a corporate environment knows how painful legacy intranets can be. The content's stale, the interface is ugly. You can only access it at work, let's say. Igloo is an intranet that you're actually going to like. It's a cloud platform that helps you do things like share files, collaborate on documents, do blog updates, coordinate calendars, manage projects, all that stuff. It's built using responsive design, which basically means everything you can do at your desk, you can now do on the go through any web browser, through the browser of your choice. And anyone can add content based on permissions, of course, with drag and drop widgets and a WYSIWYG editor that makes it easy. Igloo also offers a variety of access, authentication, identity services to ensure that only authorized users have access in private clouds over things like SSL with 256-bit encryption to boot. Unlike other solutions, you can customize Igloo to fit your needs and work with your current IT investments, things like Salesforce, SharePoint, Active Directory, and coming soon, file sharing solutions like Box and Dropbox. It's great for growing companies and large enterprises looking to refresh their communication strategy, and it happens to be used by government agencies and companies like Hulu, Inventive Health, American Family Insurance, and IPSwitch. Try it for free for yourself. Just go to igloosoftware.com/twit or sign up for a live demo, and you can see it in action. And when you sign up through our link, you can get your own Igloo for up to 10 people absolutely free for as long as you want. That's igloosoftware.com/TWIT. And we thank them for their support.
Well, next we have some new headlines in the developing story of Apple's refusal to build a tool to help the FBI do a brute force attack on a cell phone. First, various luminaries in the tech and the political worlds have been taking sides in the fight. The Financial Times says that Bill Gates sided with the FBI, but then in an interview on Bloomberg News, Gates disputed that.
Whether it's this particular case or a few others that are in the courts.
Were you blindsided a bit by I came in this morning and saw headlines saying Bill Gates backs FBI?
Yeah, I was disappointed because that doesn't state my view on this. I do believe that with the right safeguards, there are cases where the government, on our behalf, like stopping terrorism, which could get worse in the future, that is valuable. But striking that balance, clearly the government's taken information historically and used it in ways that we didn't expect, going all the way back, say, to the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover. So I'm hoping now we can have the discussion. I do believe there are sets of safeguards where the government shouldn't have to be completely blind.
So the Wall Street Journal then reported that the Justice Department is using the All Writs Act to pursue nearly a dozen cases similar to the San Bernardino case for different phones. And there's really no more additional news, so we thought we would spend some time talking about the legal aspects of this case with Denise Howell, host of This Week in Law. Welcome, Denise.
Hi, Megan. Great to see you.
It's great to see you. I've been thinking about you all week. What does Denise think? What would Denise do?
Denise has been thinking about car doors and safes.
I have been thinking about that too. Yeah, let's start right there because this is just technology, and right with the car door, with the safe, that's new technology that we needed ways to get into. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Let's back up for a second and talk about the fact that let's talk about guns, shall we?
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Okay. So what if there were a Second Amendment that covered things like cryptography and security? Then the discussion we'd be having right now would be quite a bit different. We'd still be having a discussion, but we'd know constitutionally, because there was an amendment that specifically addressed it, that things like cryptography and security were, although very dangerous and capable of wreaking havoc like guns, still something that we had decided was important to the American fabric of society. So we don't have that amendment, right? Guns are, like cryptography and security, available and specifically protected constitutionally. But cryptography and security may find some other constitutional havens, even though they don't have their own amendment. We've got the First Amendment that is the place where people go to find the right of privacy often in our freedom of speech and our freedom of association. We've got the Fourth Amendment that protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures. And I haven't seen this come up in the Apple versus FBI discussion much, but we have the 10th and 14th Amendments that preserves a lot of rights to the states to decide what sort of business models people can pursue and how businesses should be regulated. So we've got a lot constitutionally to talk about here. And I think this is a really interesting case, and I'm glad that Apple has decided to push back on the court order that they were challenged with. I don't know if you've seen, but they've hired Ted Olson on their legal team, who at 75 years old is still the legal powerhouse who won Bush versus Gore, who won the gay marriage case in California alongside David Boies. So they, I think, are teeing this up for the long haul. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this case go up to, well, of course, the first place it will go from a district judge in California, a district magistrate judge is who has issued this order, will be up to the Ninth Circuit to challenge that order, and then from the Ninth Circuit, presumably to the Supreme Court.
So when you brought up safes, there were legal precedents, presumably, on how and when people can open safes, correct? Is that...
Well, I mean, that's one of the first things that I would be looking at on both sides of this equation, whether I was on Ted Olson's legal team or the Justice Department, the FBI's legal team. I'd want to know what some of those precedents are, because and whether there's analogous technology there, because really the iPhone in this case is functioning like a safe. It's functioning like a secure vault that Apple is saying, if I were a responsible, let's say Apple makes this analogy. If I were a responsible safe manufacturer, I have developed a safe that will contain information securely. I have not kept keys because that would be counterproductive to the whole notion of having a safe. And I have not kept an ability to replicate keys because, again, if you're selling a safe, you're presuming that you're giving your customer, and your customer is presuming that the things they put in the safe will stay in the safe, unless, there are various ways to crack safes, but and blow them up. But let's leave that aside. Whether the manufacturer can be compelled to open the safe, I think, is pretty analogous to what's going on here. And I don't know what the legal precedents are on safes. I think it would be worthwhile to go into and look at it, because that is how the phone is functioning here.
So many times in the discussions around this, we end up in a place where we're saying, well, this is kind of like if you were to blank, blank, blank with a key and blank, blank, blank with a doormat or whatever. We try and put it in this kind of, frame it in like a comparison to the physical world, which has me wonder, does the law, just in general, does the law see technology as different, like the rights around technology as being different from the rights around the physical world that we live in? What would you say there?
I would say no. I would say that the law constantly looks for analogies to things that it's already handled before, and tries, even though sometimes the shoe doesn't fit very well, right, to put the shoe on that foot. And that's why this whole area of the law is so interesting. The analogies don't always fit perfectly, but here I know from the folks that we've had on This Week in Law who are on the technology side and have brought me up to speed on how this works, that let's go back to guns for a second. In the case of a gun, we have a spectrum of guns that are available for sale, and some of them are terribly, terribly dangerous, and they're still legal and available for sale because we have decided as a society that we've balanced the issues, the personal safety, the community safety, the national security of guns. And we've decided we're still going to sell the things, even really, really dangerous semi-automatic ones that can wreak a whole lot of damage like we saw in San Bernardino and elsewhere. Those are still legal and available for sale. But we comfort ourselves by saying there's a whole range of weaponry that we've decided are not protected under the Second Amendment, and we're not selling. You cannot go out and buy a jet with all of its armaments and fly that thing around. Okay, that's not part of your right to bear arms. However, in the case of cryptography and security, that continuum doesn't exist. You either make the thing that works or you don't. There's no middle ground. You either make the gun that fires or you make a toy, a pop gun. that's how I think these kinds of analogies will play out in this case. So are we going to allow Apple and other phone manufacturers to make and sell security that works, or are we not? That's the question that the courts are going to have to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
Denise, Becky Worley here. Quick question for you. I love this analogy you're making about encryption as a weapon. And, Leo's thinking on this, he explained it on Twit on Sunday, was that the defense Apple is most likely to use, or that he thinks is most viable, is that it's an undue burden on Apple to create this tool, and that's really the best chance they have to defend their actions and stay out of this until there's a constitutional change or a larger congressional change in the way we think about encryption. But with this analogy to the Second Amendment, are you making the assertion that that's actually a legal justification for classifying encryption as a weapon? Because as we know, the NSA says encryption's a powerful weapon and we don't want it minimized. They know that it's both offense and defense. Is there any legal purchase for this type of an argument under the Second Amendment?
No, I'm just making an analogy. I don't think you would ever see encryption classified as a weapon under the Second Amendment. But there are similarities here that I think courts will help courts think about the issues. I agree with Leo that that Apple has strong arguments to make about the burdens upon it and the scope of government authority. Does the government get to tell Apple or any other phone manufacturer or any other security product manufacturer? This doesn't just, this is not just limited to the worlds of phones. It's limited to, it's unlimited by the kinds of security that people are developing and making available today. We're talking about locks for people's homes. We're talking about biometric secured technologies. All of this is being developed and marketed and sold and purchased by people with the expectation that it actually works, that it is not a pop gun, that it fires, that it works. So does the government get to come in and tell Apple, we're not going to allow you to have a business model where your security works? That's the issue at the heart of this case. And whether the government has the authority to do that or not is what courts will have to grapple with.
Right. I mean, I think Ted Olson, he brought it before. He said the government's order compromised Apple's constitutional rights and civil liberties. Like, would you agree with that statement? Is that sort of what you're saying?
I think we can expect those sorts of arguments to be made by Ted Olson and his legal team. Yes, that there are many constitutional bases that Apple can assert for why this court order should not be complied with. That it abridges not just the rights of Apple's customers, but the rights of Apple as a business.
I know you're going to be talking about this on Friday and This Week in Law. What are the big things that you're going to be covering on Friday?
Well, we're still developing the rundown for the show. I usually do that on Wednesdays. We know this will definitely be an issue, and we've got at least one security expert on our panel to help us wrestle through it. But I think we'll talk about what we've talked about here today, in addition to where we can anticipate this going. I think the passing of Antonin Scalia comes into this on a couple of different fronts. The next step procedurally for the challenge to the district court's order is to go up to the Ninth Circuit and then ultimately to the Supreme Court of the United States. And this seems like the kind of thing that we would want the Supreme Court weighing in on, and I would hope they would take up. So if it also seems like the kind of thing that if we have a 4-4 split on the Supreme Court because Justice Scalia's vacancy hasn't been filled, that we could wind up what happens when you have a 4-4 split on the Supreme Court is the lower court's decision stands until the Supreme Court can get that issue again, which might take some time. And they actually have 9 justices sitting. So it's another reinforcement on why the Supreme Court was designed with a 9-person court and how we need to get Justice Scalia's opening filled. The other way that Justice Scalia comes into it is one of my favorite cartoons. There are a bunch of political cartoons about this Apple versus FBI issue. Involves an FBI agent gazing into an iPhone and saying, Siri, open up. This is the FBI. And Siri says, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. He asks, why not? And Siri says, the Constitution sometimes insulates the criminality of a few in order to protect the privacy of us all. And the agent says, what pointy-headed liberal said that? And the phone says, Justice Antonin Scalia. So this is not a partisan issue. It's an issue of constitutional interpretation, and it's exactly what our judicial system is designed to grapple with. And I think, I expect this to go the long haul.
I think that's one of the things I found so interesting in talking about this for the last week. And it really isn't the same as it doesn't fall down on whether you're conservative or whether you're liberal. It really affects us all. I almost think it falls down in whether you care and are paying attention or not. So I think.
Well, and the other thing it falls down on is there are so often opportunities, and we can look back at historical opportunities that people have had to crossroads where they've had to decide, are we going to protect civil liberties? Or are we going to fall down on the side of safety and security? Are we going to abridge civil liberties in service of those interests? And, this is one of those crossroads where courts are going to have to grapple with that. And I'm hoping that in that process, we don't wind up looking back on this and saying, oops, we shouldn't have done that, like Japanese internment in California during World War II.
Well, Denise, thank you so much for joining us. Denise Howell is the host of This Week in Law. Where else can people find you?
That's pretty much it. twit.tv/twill. Find us there. We record every Friday at 11 o'clock Pacific Time, 1800 UTC.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great
Take
to have
care.
you on. Somewhat related.
Yes, we have an email from James Battaglia from White Plains, New York. He writes, this whole situation between the government and forcing Apple to unlock the phone reminds me of the movie Ghostbusters. Look what happened there. All the ghosts got out when the government forced the Ghostbusters to shut down the containment. Totally the same thing here.
It's true.
I had to have a
true.
Ghostbusters refresher course.
Thankfully, you asked the right person. I've seen that movie about 1 million times. So maybe not quite 1 million, but at least 1,000.
Right. So what's the analogy here, as long as we're making analogies?
I think that's the analogy. Actually, This is my favorite analogy ever, is the tying it into the Ghostbusters franchise.
Right.
Who's the giant marshmallow man?
That's the question I was asking.
Man. That's a good question.
Only
I don't
the
know if I'm
secure
ready
Enclave knows.
I don't know if I'm ready to name who the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man is in this scenario. Email us, tnt@twit.tv, and let us know who you think the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man is.
All right. Well, coming up, Google Glass for runners and more from Mobile World Congress. But first, I have a question for you, too, as we thank the sponsor of our episode. One of my New Year's resolutions is to spend less time on my devices, more time with my family, enjoying the real world. So that means going to see theater or comedy or sports. What do you think? What are the events that you guys think I should go see? Or what are you excited
I think you should go see Frozen on Ice.
with your children?
Because I know...
You think I should take your children?
I know they want to see it, and I know that you don't care for shows on ice. So I'm just saying, hey, this sounds like the perfect thing. Take my kids to Frozen on Ice.
Megan, do not listen to him. Let's try and go see Hamilton.
Oh yes,
let's.
I would love to
go
do
see
that.
Hamilton
but the thing that gets you not wanting to go see all these things is how expensive they are. So but I have a suggestion for you. That is Score Big. Whatever tickets you want to buy, there's a way to pay less for better seats. How? Just go to scorebig.com. 40% of all live event tickets go unsold. Score Big makes it easy to attend live events by working directly with your favorite teams and artists to get their unsold seats at unpublished prices. At scorebig.com, you're always guaranteed huge savings by paying much less than than what the box office charges for tickets. They have incredible deals on tickets to concerts, sports, Broadway productions, and family-friendly events. To take advantage of these deals, visit scorebig.com and find the event and the seats that you want. Then make an offer with Scorebig's Name a Ticket price feature. You'll receive an answer from Scorebig instantly and save up to 60% on your tickets. You also have the option to pay a fixed price, which is much less expensive than major online ticket resellers. With Scorebig, there are no surprise fees. No fees. I think we can all agree that fees are the worst. Plus, you get free shipping. Paying shipping for tickets, I've never understood that. They're paper. It always confused me. With Scorebig, you do not have to. You can even favorite shows and events to be notified on upcoming dates to attend, which is such a convenient feature.
That's cool. Yeah, because you might not know when they're going to be arriving or when the show's going to arrive. But you favorite it, and then it appears.
You don't forget.
Yeah.
So quit.
You're notified.
Quit overpaying for tickets. Get the tickets you want at prices you can afford with Scorebig. Next time you're planning to attend a game or a show, visit Scorebig first and see how much you can save. Go to scorebig.com, click on the microphone, enter the promo code TNT to save an extra $20 off your first ticket purchase. That's scorebig.com, promo code TNT.
Thank you to Scorebig. All right, so day 2 of Mobile World Congress is
I don't know, it's a different day there.
Yeah, I suppose it
Barcelona.
was underway, let's say. Now they're sleeping. Slackers. We kind of talked a lot about the big product announcements from the event on yesterday's show, but we have a team roaming the show floor to find some hidden gems. Here's Father Robert Ballecer taking a closer look at a couple of neat discoveries there. First, he had a chance to meet up with Miriam Jouar from Mobile Geeks to talk about a neat Android phone that adds a thermal camera to its arsenal. Let's take a look.
We're actually in front of the Bullet Group booth here in the hall. This is a FLIR camera that has been built into a mil-spec Android phone. Now, if you've ever wanted to play with FLIR devices, they've done a proper job on this. Not only is the quality great, not only does it work just as well as the FLIR dongles, but the phone is actually very well designed. Have you seen anything like this before?
No, and you know what? I think this is the perfect application for FLIR. Like, as you know, I reviewed the FLIR dongle for Before You Buy last year on Twit, and I thought it was really cool, but it's as an accessory, right? Whereas this is built into a phone in a mil-spec, rugged, waterproof, etc. phone. What CAT does best, when I think for contractors, especially in the US, who are always looking for leaks, for energy efficiency, this is the phone you want, because building it in makes so much more sense to me.
Virtual reality gets all the buzz at these big conferences, but there is one technology that I think could give it a run for its money, and that's AR, which is why I'm here at Intel with Recon and Richard to tell you why AR is the future of wearable technologies. Richard, what is this wonderful looking device on this handsome mannequin?
Well, it's a great device that really helps improve performance and stay connected. So if you think about performance in cycling or in running, a lot of the challenge is that you can't keep your focus on what you're doing if you're always looking at your wrist or looking for your phone. So what we've done with this Recon Jet is provide that information on the heads-up display. So right at your eye view, which is not distracting, you can understand how fast you're running, your pace, your cadence, your speed if you're cycling. You can also get notifications, so notifications, text, email, and calls, so that you can still stay connected without disrupting your performance and disrupting your exercise. It's also great. It has a camera. If you want to be social, you can take pictures and take video and get other apps through there through the SDK in the Engage software. So it's a really exciting product. I think people are going to be able to perform better, stay connected, and feel better.
So that last product is actually kind of interesting. Reminds me of what Google is really kind of repositioning Google Glass to be more for kind of the enterprise. So this allows them to kind of scale out, let's say, walkthroughs. So for example, you're working, you got the lenses on, you've got a little LCD display down in the corner that could show you step by step the things you need to be doing with whatever you happen to be working on. And
Jason, you're completely confused.
Am I?
It's only for skiing.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason you need those goggles, okay? That's
action sports, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, skiing is the only place where a heads-up display ever makes sense in the real world, unless you're a jet fighter pilot.
Tell me, what are you going to use the heads-up for, the map of the slope?
Well, the map, what trail am I doing? And then every time you have to take the thing out, you pull it out, and you got your gloves on, you got unscrew, and then it falls, and then so heads-up display skiing. Yes, it's a narrow vertical, but vertical being the optimal phrase. I like the thermal camera. I love the idea of building inspectors using it, to find out where you've got leaks in your ducting and what have you. But I love it for the idea of I'm going to take my kids to the volcano this summer. And, when you go out on the volcano, you can't really tell what the hot lava is and what the cold lava is.
Oh.
I'm going to get the dongle. This shows. I'm excited about that. That could be cool.
I think I just realized what you need, Becky. You need a combination of both of these devices in one. So you can go to the volcano, wear the smart glasses that are showing you the thermal readout, and then you're not walking around with your phone like this trying to read the
Does that have
volcano.
widespread appeal or what?
Oh, we're talking like mainstream here. Even more mainstream than VR. This is what we're talking about here.
People.
I'm with you on the skiing, though. That's good. 'Cause even the Apple Watch stinks at skiing because it's too, it's cold, and you have to pull down your
all the way down
same
there.
thing. Your gloves go over, and
This is me skiing.
Yes.
The whole time I'm going through my notifications with my nose, so I don't have to take my gloves off.
They have gloves that are
not when it's that cold out. They're not that good.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
The cold.
But once you figure out you can use your nose to control your Apple Watch, you really are set for life.
Apparently. Now, we can all agree on one thing. Battery's pretty darn important when it comes to feature set in smartphones. Oppo at Mobile World Congress showed off its new Super VOOC, or maybe it's Super VOOC, quick charge tech that apparently demonstrated how a dead 2,500 milliamp hour battery could be charged to 100%, dead to 100% in 15 minutes. And they say using traditional micro USB and USB-C cables, I want that. I mean, that's pretty awesome. If we can't have huge batteries that last for days, which we can't because we also want really thin, slim devices, then this is the next best thing. I love the progress that we're making in fast charge for devices. But Apple doesn't have this. You have not experienced the awesomeness of this. You need to, Megan.
Well, my Apple Watch charges pretty fast. Okay. That's the fastest charging thing that I have. And my Apple Pencil also charges very fast.
Oh, that's true.
So
when I was reading about this, so the iPhone 6 charges 0 to 100 in 3 hours is what the spec that they list. But that's with the 5-volt charger wall wart thing that comes with it. If you use the 12-volt iPad charger, it'll half the time is one of the hacks that was listed in some of the sites that I read. So I ordered the 12-volt for the iPad. It's like $19, and we'll see if that changes the charging time. But I didn't know anything about that little hack.
Yeah, I had not heard of that either. That's you'd think they'd talk that up because I know in my devices, I think since the Nexus 6, which was like a year and a half ago at this point, it had fast charge. And I mean, it's changed me as far as like battery charge time because like I said, if you can't have a gigantic battery to last through the day, at least being able to plug it in for small periods of time and have that make effective, like really nice improvements to your battery charge is the next best thing. 0 to 100 in 15 minutes is kind of ridiculous. That's like, oh, I forgot a few things. I had to run in the house real quick and get a couple of things, plug it in, and I'm leaving now, and it's fully charged again. That's awesome. Now, Becky, you were talking a little bit earlier about the HTC Vive. HTC showed off the final consumer version of that VR headset at Mobile World Congress. It looks pretty slick. And it has a retail price of $799. So that's what they're going to be selling this for. And Becky is choking. Are you okay, Becky?
It must have been the water I was drinking. I'm choking so badly.
Well, I think the last time you were here, we were talking about the Oculus Rift, that it was $600.
Yeah, $600.
And I thought that was crazy expensive, and you two thought it wasn't.
It was okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. Like, based on people who are using the HTC Vive, they say it's probably one of the better solutions right now. I really want to try it out. Yes, $800, no doubt. $800 is a hefty price tag for any piece of technology. If you're buying phones unlocked, if you're buying, let's say the Samsung Galaxy S7 unlocked, you're paying close to that for an unlocked phone.
The iPhone is $800.
So it really just depends on what that technology means to you. And for a certain category of users, albeit probably a limited category at this point, but gamers are certainly passionate about this type of stuff. I don't think that it's outside of the realm of possibility that $800 plus a nice souped-up gaming rig, which is required for the HTC Vive, wouldn't be something that would totally be like a game ender for them. No pun intended.
We all have things that make us happy, actual possessions that bring us joy. For some, it may be a virtual reality headset. There are times when I'm walking down the street and I see women carrying a specific Louis Vuitton purse that I know costs $1,200, and I just want to go up to them and ask them, does that purse bring you joy? But then again, I spent like $900 on a paddleboard. So who are we to say what brings someone joy? And if you can afford it, I will not judge. Except that purse really bugs me.
I will judge on the purse, maybe.
I feel the same way about some shoes that I see that are expensive. I'm like, really? And I was going to say, you called this a pretty good solution, which made me think, like, what's the problem here? Like, the
problem is boredom, Megan. We're bored with normal everyday life, and we need a virtual world in which to live and recreate our normal experiences.
But yeah, good point. If you've got the money and you can afford it, we are not here to judge.
And, this is it, right? It's early days, and this is usually how it goes with early technology. And it costs a lot at the beginning, and then suddenly it goes, further and further down. In a couple of years, this could be right around a sweet spot of, similar in price to, let's say, consoles, which people don't. I mean, sure, people might say a console like an Xbox One is expensive, but we've grown very used to that upfront expense because we're passionate about gaming, let's say. So there you go. Father Robert is recording a ton of content while in Barcelona. We're going to have more with him on tomorrow's show, of course, but you should also check out our specials. That's twit.tv/specials. You can catch his daily collection of interviews and product walkthroughs from the show floor. Very cool stuff coming out of Barcelona.
And now it's time for TNT's fan of the day, who is Scott Heath at Scott R. Heath on Twitter, who sent us this picture saying, how I watch TNT in my kitchen, washing dishes and cleaning up after my wife, the chef, who creates great things to eat. His Twitter bio also happens to say that Scott is a genius, and with programming like that playing on the tablet, I would tend to agree with him.
Yeah, I would too. Genius.
Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just take a picture of yourself, take a video of yourself, post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we are going to find it.
All right. After this, Becky Worley has some things to say about the world of autonomous video editing. But before we get to that, let's take a minute to thank the sponsor of this episode. That's the Ring Video Doorbell. We're all familiar with the sound of a doorbell. Are you familiar with this? Huh? Are you familiar with that? I am. It means a package is being delivered. Friends are coming over for dinner. It also is the sound of someone planning to rob you. Hopefully not that sound, because you'll have the Ring Video Doorbell installed. But I'm just telling you, 95% of home break-ins happen during the day. Burglars almost always start by ringing your doorbell to see if someone's home before they go in and rifle through your possessions, find the things they want, and take off with them. With Ring Video Doorbell, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. And Ring's advanced motion detection alerts you even if someone doesn't ring the doorbell. With Ring Video Doorbell, you can talk to delivery people, keep an eye on the package when they deliver it. If someone tries to mess with that package, you'll get an instant alert, HD video of the entire thing in the cloud. It's like having a neighbor that's keeping an eye on your home 24/7 from your front doorstep. Our house, by the way, it's a delivery point for CSA. CSA, if you don't know, stands for Community Supported Agriculture, which basically means veggie boxes, vegetable boxes, some fruits and all that kind of stuff. The neighbors can sign up to pick up at our house every week. Pretty fancy stuff. With Ring, it's kind of perfect because we know who's picking up their boxes and when. And if someone doesn't get theirs, if it happens to go missing, let's say, this hasn't happened yet, but if it did, we're going to have a better understanding as to who it might be. And, that might help us down the line. Installing Ring takes minutes, and it works with either your current wiring or a built-in rechargeable battery, which is what we use. We don't have the wiring into the front, so we just charge it. It lasts a year. Put your mind at ease and protect your home with the Video Doorbell. Time Magazine and USA Today named one of their top 10 gadgets. Go to ring.com/TNT. You're going to get free expedited FedEx shipping by going there. That's ring.com/TNT. With Ring, you are always home. We thank Ring for their support.
Now it is time for Becky's Corner, or Becky's Secure Enclave,
Corner.
or whatever we're calling it.
Yeah, Becky's Secure Enclave. I like that as the... I like it.
You spent some time with autonomous video editing.
Yes, it's not a rant that I choose to do here per se, but I do think it's fun sometimes to take a deep dive on one vertical in the tech space. Last time I was on, we talked about what's going on in the VC market and where tech sort of valuations are going. And a totally different concept, you were alluding to, Megan, is autonomous video editing. So this all came from, I was interviewing Nick Woodman from GoPro for Good Morning America last summer. And he made this comment that really struck me. He said, the memories of my children are trapped on SD cards because all the GoPro videos he's taken of them, all the DSLR photos, DSLR videos that he has of them, they're all trapped on cards, and he hasn't done anything with the videos. Sure, he's got the MOV file or the MP4 file or whatever it is that he's got on his computer, but in terms of compiling them and picking the best ofs, even a guy with those kind of resources and that kind of tech nous to be able to do the editing in iMovie or whatever Final Cut Pro he wants to edit them in, he hasn't done it. You know, you think about if you have your photos, you can just easily select, oh, I love these. These are the 20 best. Make a slideshow. Boom. You pick them some music, you pick a theme, and whatever photo editor you're using will make an amazing slideshow for you, right? But it doesn't work like that with video. The reason this came to mind today is I got a pitch for a company that will take your home videos off your phone or your GoPros or what have you, and make them into a very professional looking edited video. It's called Your Life Media. So you can send 5 to 10 minutes of raw video, 20 to 30 pics, and their professional editors, and this is my favorite part of the pitch, in Hollywood will make a video for you. So guys, will you show that one that's from Your Life Media? I think it says Whistler or something like that. So if you're watching this stream, you'll see it. It's an incredibly professionally done video of your home movies. It has graphics, it has transitions, and
it has loud music.
Loud sound effects. And they even have like a voiceover guy who says,
So is this your video?
No, this is just one they used as an example. But they make like looks like a professional movie trailer of your trip, you know? And it's got audio from the pieces and the best video, the moments, the best pictures. It's logically put together. It costs to make this video $600.
Oh.
That's what they're selling. Yeah, that's what they're selling, is a service that will take 5 to 10 minutes of raw video and a few pictures and make a video for you for $600.
And this is automated. So it's just using its own algorithm to kind of like pick the best clips and all that kind of stuff.
I don't think it's automated.
Okay, so that's
that's why it costs that much money, right?
Well,
like,
that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, $600. I've got a million apps that do that in an automated way.
But we know how long it takes to edit. That makes sense.
It takes forever, right? So this is a business trying to get it down to the lowest common denominator and make it really accessible at the best price, $600. So that really tells me that this is not necessarily an industry that's been successfully disrupted, because Magisto, which is an app that's been around for a while, this is an automated editing service. You can upload all your videos and pictures. And I made one earlier today, guys. You can play it for anybody who's watching. And it was just like a family video that we took. And it did a decent job, but it missed all the it didn't pick the best pieces of the video. You know? Also, do you like the music I uploaded?
Oh, wow. Hey, what do you... Oh, nice pick.
Yeah.
Jeez. I'm totally surprised.
You're not going to sue her, are you?
That's why I
will not.
Wait,
this is
so
awesome.
it looks nice.
It's a great surprise.
What do you think it missed?
It's sort of like in this moment it's showing right now is my daughter holding this huge gecko, right? And it automatically zoomed in and missed sort of the moment of her face looking at the thing, because I think the algorithm tries to figure out what the the focus of the video is, and it tries to pick out the action, it tries to pick out the emotion, and it's all algorithmic. It's not bad, especially when you consider that it's free. It's actually really great, and I think they have like 80 million users. So that's really an interesting dichotomy between, you know, $600 is the next step up from free. When as soon as you get a person involved, it adds that kind of volume to it. And then I just kind of wanted to take a transition and show you one other facet of this vertical. It's a service called Watch It. And an old friend of ours, Jim Louderback, is their evangelist, and he was telling me about it. What they do is they make automated videos for news services, blogs, if you want to use it just sort of in your business. And it uses readily available video that might have been made public through video news releases or corporate video. And it will then, you can kind of write a script and it will try and match free video to what's you're talking about. So, for example, they've got one that we're showing right here that kind of mirrors a lot of this video that we're seeing online right now, where there are big headlines on the video and there's sort of generic stuff in the background. And this is really the low-cost automated version for businesses. So I guess what I'm asking you guys, and I would love feedback from our viewers, you can tweet to me at Becky Worley on Twitter. What do you think? Is there any future for really disrupting video editing, or is it just so dependent on humans that AI will never, ever be able to really crack this nut?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I will say that Google does this on Android devices pretty much right out of the box with its Google Photos app. You know, I've got every picture that I take, and actually my wife and I are kind of synced to the same account. So we take pictures, you know, wherever we happen to be. It all syncs to the cloud automatically when we connect to Wi-Fi. So it isn't doing it on a mobile network. You can kind of set that. And I mean, throughout the course of any given day, depending on what we're doing, I open up my phone and I've got a little notification. It says, you know, we auto created you. We know, you know, you were at the Children's Museum and you took a bunch of pictures. We created a movie based around the video footage and the pictures that you took there. And I don't know, in general, I think it does a pretty decent job, but you've got Google's kind of AI muscle behind that, and Google's done a lot in this world. If you go to Google Photos, for example, and you do a search for elephant, you know, if you've ever taken a picture of an elephant, it will probably give you a result of that picture that you have in your history of an elephant. So they've done a lot of work in this. I don't know if it necessarily replaces entirely, though, because those videos, as cool as they are, and true to the fact that I would probably never sit down and create a montage of our trip to the Children's Museum, it's probably not the best clips from all the things that it shows, but it's pretty nice for not having to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, for family videos, I definitely think it's there already. Like, yeah, it's on iOS too. We use at our house an app called Triller that if you have a 12-year-old, you probably have already heard of. And it's on Android too.
Triller, not Thriller.
Sorry. But, you know, it gets
I thought this was Thriller Night.
So, you know, you record these videos, you record them to music. It's a lot of lip syncing that happens. It's a lot of fun. And you know, you do it 3 times and then it magically edits it together. And then if you don't like it, you just, you know, trill it again or whatever. You mix it again. So it does it. And I like it. It's a free app as well.
There's definitely a little randomness to how it picks which clips it does. Yeah. You know, when you redo it, then it edits it again and, you know, kind of puts the edit points at different random places. Yeah. But it's a really cool way to kind of edit a music video of all things, which can be pretty challenging on the fly with little resistance. You know? So, you know, with family videos, I definitely think so. But for all of the mistakes that we've made in this episode, I think I still will thank our editor Kevin for fixing them, and we're not going to replace you with a robot this week. Just don't edit out, Kevin, don't edit out Becky and I doing the Thriller dance. Don't do it.
No, a robot would edit it out and say, you don't want that, but you know, Kevin knows.
Yes.
That's my point, is when robots have emotions, they'll understand video, because video's number one value point is, well, the visuals are probably the number one, but the number 2 is emotion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Becky, thank you so much again for joining us. I know you'll be back with us in 2 weeks, but until then, what will you be working on? Where can people find you online?
I am at B Worley on Twitter. I'm doing some fun stuff for Good Morning America, working right now on calorie counters in your smart devices, your little wearables, and some other fun things. So I'll see you around,
Yeah.
I'm like a bad penny, you guys.
Well, if you make a good triller, send it to me.
I will.
Okay.
Becky, thank you. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Tomorrow's guest is going to be the also awesome Lauren Hawkinson from The Next Web. TNT records live every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can also be a part of the show by emailing us. Send an email to tnt@twit.tv or leave a voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW. You can hit us up on Twitter, but don't hit us because that hurts. We are at Tech News Today TV.
You can also leave a review on iTunes. It helps other people find us, so please do if you have a few extra minutes. And the best way to get our show right when it's released is to subscribe. And you can do that at twit.tv/TNT and subscribe to the Twit newsletter at twit.tv/newsletter. And if you want to find me on Twitter, I am at Megan Morrone.
And I can be found at Jason Howell on Twitter. And thanks to our technical director, Caracol, and all the folks who always help us produce this show every single day. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We will see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.